So now on the show, I want to take a look at a brand new film that's gone straight into the cinemas here in Australia, but it's had no media screenings, which is normally not a great sign for a film. The film is called Last Seen Alive, and it actually stars one of my favourite actors, Gerard Butler. He's one of those actors that I always seek out his films. If he's got something new coming out, I'll always try and go and see it. Now, Last Seen Alive sees Butler play a character called Will Spahn. He's a property developer whose marriage to his wife, Lisa, played by Jamie Alexander, is on the rocks. You kind of get the feeling that Will doesn't really understand why the marriage is falling apart. Lisa's had an affair, and now she's asked to go and stay with her parents for a period of time. Will's driving her there, and on the way they stop at a petrol station. Now, while he fills up the car, Lisa goes into the shop to get some water and then disappears. As an audience, we see more than what Will does. So we see that she was talking to a guy when she set foot out of the store, and then she simply disappears. Now, Will goes into panic stations. He starts running through the petrol station looking for her, can't see her anywhere. Eventually he calls the police, and a detective played by Russell Hornsby is the man who picks up the case. Now, the detective kind of instantly suspects that Will's had something to do with the disappearance, and while he's chasing down that side of the investigation, Will starts his own investigation and soon discovers that a guy that Lisa has known from her past may be involved with her disappearance. Now, this is kind of a strange film because it's not a film where I would sit here and say I didn't enjoy watching it. I did enjoy watching it, but it just never felt that director Brian Goodman and the screenwriter Mark Friedman took this movie to the levels that it could have gone to. Watching this film, I kept on thinking of films like Wind River. I was thinking of the Taken series. This film never reaches those heights. Even the whole investigation amongst these rednecks that Will suspects knows something about his wife's disappearance, it never goes into that Winter's Bone kind of harshness. A lot of the characters that you see here are kind of cliched, especially the redneck characters. Even the whole investigation into Will himself, it kind of sets up, and it kind of even has a scene where, like, Lisa's parents believe that he's got something to do with the disappearance, but it doesn't really go anywhere. There's only one real scene where I felt like Will was in danger of being arrested. The rest of the time, you kind of think, well, why isn't he ringing the cops? Like, the detective in charge kind of goes down that line of questioning Will and finding out whether he's involved, but he is open to other ideas. So when Will starts to uncover some of the stuff, you kind of think, well, why aren't you ringing the detective and telling him what you've just found out? It kind of feels weird in that element. It feels like the screenplay doesn't set up that that Will is the only suspect. So it kind of loses that a little bit. Because I've loved Gerard Butler in movies like Olympus Has Fallen, I was kind of wondering if this would take the kind of Taken route and make him this kind of almost invincible guy that's investigating the disappearance of a family member. Again, you didn't ever get that feeling with this film. It did take a more naturalistic feel, I guess, than Taken, but I thought that kind of sapped some of the suspense out of it as well. Now, having said all that, Gerard Butler is really, really good in this film. I enjoyed his acting performance. I enjoyed the fact that he kind of roped it back a little bit and made his character more natural, and you kind of put yourself in that kind of boat of what would I do if my wife disappeared. I thought Russell Hornsby was really good in this as well. He's been in films like Fences and The Hate You Give over recent years, but I thought this was a film where he really, really stood up, and perhaps he's the kind of guy that can start playing some of the roles that we've seen the likes of Denzel Washington play over the years. I thought Russell Hornsby was probably one of the big winners out of this film. Look, Last Seen Alive is not a waste of time. Don't expect it to be up there with anything like that Taylor Sheridan's written. It's not a classic thriller. It's the kind of film that you watch once and you'll probably, within a couple of weeks, forget that you've ever seen it. Not a great film. Certainly worth the 2 hours invested into watching it, but don't expect it to be a film that you're going to return to time and time again. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5.